The young man renting our guest room caught me in the act and lent a hand. A true tale. I never imagined someone would find out. It was meant solely for my own. A still instant, a breath stolen amidst the weight of my suffocation. It wasn't in my plans. I didn't consider it at all. It simply occurred. Silence enveloped the house. A silence that seeps beneath the surface. Empty house. Silence reigns. Focus only I and the silence. In my room, towel wrapped tight, droplets lingered on my skin from the shower. I glimpsed my reflection in the glass. I barely recognized who I was. Weary gaze. Slumped shoulders. A face untouched by affection for ages. When was the last time I felt wanted? Unnecessary. Unacceptable. More than just present. Seeking. Yearned. Noted. I reclined on the bed, the towel slipping away. It transcended desire. It transcended mere pleasure. It was about the pulse of existence. Experiencing a sensation, something genuine. It lacked silence, cold stares, and the emptiness of dinners shared with a man who hardly noticed me. In an instant, all was lost to me, only when my eyes opened. There he stood. The young man renting our guest room, in the threshold. Yet, silence, observing. My heart sank. Motionless, silence reigned. Breathless, silence enveloped him, merely lingered. And God, I can't tell how long he'd been there. Unclear what he witnessed. In that fleeting instant, everything changed. Not solely within him. Within me, I failed to shield myself promptly. I remained silent. Or shout, or leap up. I merely gazed in return. After an eternity, I was acknowledged. Nothing scared me more than that. If you remain, still attentive, perhaps a part of you knows the weight of being invisible for ages, to the point of losing sight of your own existence. Perhaps you've experienced it as well. In that space, a glance, a fleeting instant, holds more closeness than a lifetime of affection. I will reveal it all. Reality. The aspects I regret. The mysteries that elude my grasp. The nights haunted by lingering moments. Before I proceed, if tales like this provoke thought, stir emotions, or prompt reflection, even if they unsettle you, please consider subscribing to Shocking Infidelity Saga. Each week, we explore the hidden realities lurking in the shadows, whispers of tales untold, lingering in the shadows of silence. Are you prepared? Let's return to the beginning. After that silent, breathless moment when Elias and I locked eyes, everything changed. Not a whisper in the air. It weighed more, as if it held secrets within. Perhaps the change began much earlier. Perhaps it began when I ceased to laugh mindlessly. At 36, 8 years with Mark. 8 years once held significance. Once we knew joy, or so I believed. Once he grasped my hand while driving. Push my hair aside to see me clearly. Brush your fingers against my back as we glide by in the corridor. It was utterly straightforward yet profoundly rich. Suddenly it ceased. Transformation was an instant. It dragged on. As thrilling as watching paint dry. A goodnight kiss lost in the shadows. A lengthier workday awaits. How his phone gradually eclipsed my presence. He'd lounge on the couch post-dinner, scrolling, replying to emails, nodding at my words as if he grasped only half of what I said. Then I fell silent. Gave up on reaching for him. Each attempt felt like grasping at nothingness. He remains honest. Not quite as people imagine cheating, only her. No concealed writings. Clean lips, simply void. Void. Quiet, void of feeling. Such disregard? It gnaws at you silently. I began to sense I was a specter in my own house. The suburban house, pristine and curated, exudes a chill beyond its appearance. Stone surfaces. Appliances in stainless steel, plain walls. It's a picturesque spot, yet lacks a cozy feel. Feels untouched, never again. Not by hearts that truly connect. My bedroom, once a sanctuary, now resembles a cell. Bed made with precision. Pillows pristine. Nightstand drawer filled with dust, lacking intimacy. That's where I found myself that day. And that place once synonymous with safety. Hunting for a genuine instant. Elias re-entered our lives mere months ago. 19 completed the inaugural year at university. He claimed he required a pause. Hoping to return home and enroll in online classes for a semester. Claimed exhaustion. He expressed longing for home. I trusted him. Perhaps I simply desired to. He's silent. It always has been. Yet recently a heaviness lingers in his gaze, elusive and unsettling. He observes far more than he reveals. A boy of few words, yet each one counts. Upon his return, he was a stranger to me. He had expanded, higher, wider shoulders, some extra facial hair. Yet it was more than that. He was now a quiet void, take it easy, profound, weightier. He began with small gestures, cleaning up unprompted, discarding the refuse, grabbing groceries I overlooked, not in a clear manner, just a humble note, silently entering the voids Mark created. Initially, I convinced myself it was charming. A boy lending a hand, exhibiting consideration. Yet there was more beneath the surface. His gaze held on longer, his gaze lingered unaware I was watching, as if he sought to grasp a deeper meaning. Or perhaps as he has done before. I found myself doing the same. That wasn't my intention. When someone finally notices you after years of being unseen, it's difficult not to reflect. Small, innocent moments began to lose their purity as time passed. Our hands grazed as we crossed paths in the hallway. He leaned against the kitchen counter, listening intently, asking about my day in a way Mark hadn't in years, and how my body reacted. Nothing frightened me more than that. It was never meant to hold significance. Yet it happened, not for our words but for our silence. In a quiet home, a look can echo louder than a shout. Every silent thought culminated in that instant in the bedroom, where I allowed myself to feel, if only briefly. Elias noticed me, witnessed it all. He stood firm, he stood still. He appeared unrepentant. He appeared alert. I felt it all at once. I wished it away. I made an attempt. I steered clear of him, lingering in my room, spent more time in the shower, exited the kitchen upon his arrival. Yet the atmosphere remained thick with tension. It simply became denser. I always knew it deep down. The end was just the beginning. Something within us stirred awake. Neither of us knew how to lull it back to slumber. It occurred on a Thursday. Mark messaged at 4 p.m., mentioned he'd be late at work. Once more, none offered. Coldness prevails, a mere declaration. Another solitary dinner awaits. Another night, silence reverberates through the walls. No reply came from me. I lingered in the kitchen, clutching his message, gazing at the screen, expecting revelations it couldn't provide. I switched it off, placed the phone screen side down on the counter. I filled a glass with wine, carried it upstairs. I left the laundry half done. It sat in the basket half folded. I lost all interest. 2 candles flickered in the bathroom. Not for romance but to escape the fluorescent light and numbness, the gentle radiance. Aroma of lavender. A glimmer of gentleness in a world that had become too harsh. The bath sizzled with heat. Nearly unbearable heat. Yet, I succumbed to it regardless, shut my eyes. Allow the warmth to seep into my bones, dissolving the tension in my chest. In the silence, a door creaked ajar. Initially, it was my mind, not my body. Memories resurfaced, long buried and forgotten. How I used to laugh, carefree and unguarded. The way Mark kissed my shoulder as I stirred the pasta. The sensation of being touched, as if I truly mattered. That solitude, it became essential. Not desire. Reality, a longing to reclaim my sense of self. I toweled off, took the remaining wine to the bedroom, left the door ajar, just a reflex. I never considered it. I reclined on the bed, shadows danced as candles flickered in the doorway. Skin warm from the water. The sheets chill my skin. I reached out to myself. Not for enjoyment. Nope, it transcended climax. I sought to regain what was lost. Initially, my hand seemed alien. I questioned whether I was worthy of such tenderness now. Yet, I embraced it, released the burden of guilt, released the quiet. After ages, I finally felt alive. It held strength. Dominate. Not above others, just above myself, my own body, my own breath, my own skin. I shut my eyes and surrendered to the moment. Then, I sensed it. Silence reigns. Silence reigns. Only, in essence. I blinked and gazed at the door. There he stood, Steve. Motionless. Staying still. Silence prevails. Only, observing. He wasn't staring inappropriately. He lacked a smile. He felt no shame. His expression was a mystery. Serene. Determined. His gaze locked onto mine, as if seeking to grasp a truth beyond the surface. I was frozen. My breath hitched. My heart thumped, echoing in my ears. My hand stilled, caught between my thighs, legs half covered by the sheets. A scream bubbled within me, to pull the blankets tight. Tell him to leave. Yet I did not. I merely gazed in return. His eyes revealed it all. He was aware, not merely my actions, but the reasons behind them. In that instant, shame eluded me. Not right now, I sensed. Noted. In a manner I hadn't experienced in ages, that was my greatest fear. It was more than mere capture. It was about his perception of me, the craving, the pain. The woman buried beneath the grime, the one that had slipped from everyone's mind for ages. In that moment I understood. In an instant all was different, not due to my actions, yet due to his vision. Sleep eluded me that night. My gaze fixed on the ceiling, shadows danced above me, the wall clock ticking away, counting down to an unknown moment. With each blink his image lingered. Steve, there standing, quiet, observing. I wondered repeatedly, did he witness it all? Did he look away and I missed it? How long had he been there? But the most gut-wrenching question lingered. Did I want him to see me? That's the one I had to hold on to. The truth is, I hesitated at first. I remained silent. I left myself exposed. I froze. A piece of me wished to hold on to the moment forever. That thought churned my S-mark. I rose from bed at 5 a.m., driven by a need to act. I brewed coffee, fed the dog, gazed out the kitchen window as if it held secrets. Uncertain of my emotions, I embraced them all. Stunned, regret, remorse, shame. Suddenly, a relentless wave, no pause for breath. I convinced myself it was an error. Such events occur. I had done nothing wrong. No. I left him waiting outside. I left him out of the viewing. It wasn't that way. Yet I would replay that moment endlessly. A threshold, partially ajar. The vintage. The flickering flames. For the first time in years, I let my body move freely. Did I act too recklessly? Overly eager? Did I leave that door ajar unwittingly? Why couldn't I shake the memory of his gaze? Morning arrived with his footsteps echoing down the stairs, just as my coffee reached its peak. My hand shook as I reached for the mug. Initially, I kept my gaze down. I was unable to. He faced me at the breakfast table. Silence reigns. I caught a glimpse of him from the periphery. He appeared unfazed, or furious, or ashamed. Silence reigns, as if it never occurred, as if it all unfolded. I finally glanced up, only once. For a fleeting moment, our eyes locked. Hold on, he turned his gaze aside. Yet in that moment, I witnessed an event, no judgment, not repulsion. Another thing, deep in my confusion, Mark entered the room. He plopped into his chair, sighing, fingers dancing on his phone, lost in a different realm. He greeted us with a good morning, eyes averted. He grabbed his coffee, scrolled through emails as if the others were mere shadows. I longed to scream. My mind burned with intensity. My body buzzes with confusion, guilt, and an unnamed feeling. The man I married, once my heartbeat's thrill, remained oblivious as my world crumbled within. I observed Elias consume his cereal as if it were just another day. As if I wasn't crumbling within. I wanted to know, what did you see? How did it resonate with you? What's on your mind? Yet I was unable to. I hesitated, unsure if I wanted to face the answers. I sat, gazing into my coffee, feigning normalcy, feigning strength while I frayed within, feigning ignorance of the profound recognition I experienced in a fleeting instant, overshadowing years of union. I persisted in seeking clarity. He gets it now. He likely didn't intend to observe. It happened by chance, an error. That's it. Yet beneath it all I was aware. I found it hard to believe. Accidents are fleeting. Accidents are blind. Accidents leave you feeling unwanted. I attempted to suppress it. I urged myself to move on. I was being theatrical. Yet whenever I shut my eyes, that doorway appeared. A thin beam of illumination, his shadowy form. His eyes remained unblinking. I ought to have secured the door. Why didn't I just lock the door? Perhaps the true question is, why did I keep going? Following that morning at the table, normalcy slipped away. They simply transformed. In subtle, nearly imperceptible manners, Stephen remained silent about the incident. Never. None asked. Keep it smooth. No fleeting glance, not even a misinterpretation. An unspoken connection lingered between us. A tension lingered in the quiet, electric and poised to break. He began to pay more attention to me. Perhaps I only began to see that he was aware. He'd lend a hand at home. Laundry folded, no request needed. He grabbed my favorite tea while out running errands, cooked eggs just right on Sunday mornings. Small tasks Mark had long neglected. Silent objects lacking their own voice, yet they began to resonate like a soft murmur beside me. Occasionally, I'd notice him observing me during my mundane tasks. Dishwasher loading, stretching into the pantry, securing my robe with a firmer grip. As I glanced back, his gaze remained fixed. Never again. Our gazes would lock. Pause, only a moment too long. Just enough to heat the space between us. Excessively constricted, excessive. I despised that I became aware. I despised that I began to embrace it. I began to focus on my appearance before stepping out, subtly leaving the top button of my blouse undone. Select the jeans that fit my hips more snugly. Apply vanilla-scented lotion, not for him. He wouldn't have seen me even if I entered in the buff. However, Elias? His gaze held for a fleeting moment, and that stirred something within me. A sensation long forgotten. Noted, yearned. Awake. After he left, I'd gaze into the mirror and feel a wave of disgust wash over me. What was I up to? What sort of woman allows her stepson to gaze at her in such a way? What sort of woman reflects? Yet, despite my inquiries, I pressed on. A pull between us lingered now. A heaviness in the air where silence screamed. In the hallway, our shoulders would touch, leaving a fleeting warmth on my skin. In the kitchen, he'd stretch behind me for something, and I wouldn't react quickly enough. His hand brushed the small of my back. My breath caught in my throat. Silence enveloped us both. Yet we sensed it together. We tread a path neither of us would dare to cross, yet neither could resist. Unknowingly, I began to watch for him, awaiting the sound of his steps ascending the stairs, realizing his arrival. A tightness gripped my chest as he walked out, leaving no word of his destination. What's the worst part? There were times I longed for Mark's attention, only once. Observe the changes unfolding. Speak up, attention. Yet he never did. He remained immersed in his tasks, late night at the office, dining one-handed, thumb dancing across the screen. One evening, I reached into the cupboard for a glass. Stephen entered right after me. At first, silence reigned, yet his presence lingered near. His arm encircled mine just as I seized the glass. Fingers brushed. We stayed close. Not immediately, merely remained still. Fingers entwined. Breath suspended, his hand, warm and motionless. I gazed upward. He cast his gaze downward. Silence enveloped us. I took a step back. He filled the glass with water, serene, awesome, as if it never occurred. Yet something changed. Sleep eluded me that night. My skin tingled as if it recalled him, as if it lacked something that was yet to unfold. I loathed my own vitality. I loathed myself for the depth of my longing to experience it once more. Then the night arrived, and everything fractured just a bit more. I stirred awake at 2 a.m. The thirst lingered unyielding. The tightness in my chest wouldn't ease. It arises not from warmth or fantasies, but from a deep-seated unease. From prolonged tension lacking release. Barefoot and robed, I descended the stairs. Shadows cloaked the kitchen. The moonlight slipped through the window, the sole source of illumination. There he stood. Steve. There already standing, abstaining from water. Staying still. Merely lingering in the darkness, anticipating. It unfolded on a Thursday evening. Dark clouds gather, ominous from the west. Thunder rattled the windows, a sky's warning I chose to ignore. Mark had left. Chicago business trip, away for 4 days. He gave me a fleeting kiss goodbye that morning. He snatched his suitcase, said he'd text upon landing, and strolled out the door as if my feelings were irrelevant. Rain began at 6. Gradual, then intense. Unyielding sheets transforming the outside into a haze. I lay in bed, book in hand, lost in thought instead of words. Dimmed glow. Screen dark. Silence envelopes the house. Suddenly, darkness fell. Just so, gloomy. Silence lingered as I awaited its return. Failed to do so. Candles flickered to life. Alone in the bathroom. One rests on my nightstand, by the window one. The room glowed warm and shimmering. I perched on the bed's edge, inhaling deeply. Then I listened closely. Footsteps echo. Gentle, unhurried, deliberate. A rap at the door. His voice was a whisper. On the brink of doubt. Hey, you good? I assured him I was okay, only the strength. No need for concern. He stayed put. He entered instead. He donned a simple t-shirt. Darkness, tailored. Wetness clings to the shoulders, remnants of the rain. He was likely by the window or briefly outside. His hair lay in disarray. He seemed restless, as if he'd been walking in circles. I inquired if he required anything. He nodded in denial. No, I simply. Your light caught my eye. Just checking in on you. He lingered at the threshold. The candlelight danced on his face, glimmering in his eyes. His jaw tightened, a silent struggle brewing beneath the surface. Words failed me. In the hushed void between thunder, he spoke. That day was unexpected. Yet it lingers in my mind. The words lingered, as if extracted from his heart and laid bare between us. Forward only, authenticity reigns. My heart raced. My throat felt parched. Words escaped me. I remained silent. I merely glanced at him. He glanced back. This was the moment, and every part of me knew it. The instant the boundary would shatter, or retained. Yet I remained still. He didn't either. Then he stepped forward. Next one. Nearer still, so close I could catch his scent. Subtle, grounded, pure. We lingered in silence, just a breath away. Silence lingered. My breath hitched. He leaned in, soft and slow, trembling. Then something in the air shifted, almost non-existent. Uncertain. Incorrect, yet genuine. Excruciatingly authentic. The distance between us collapsed, not in steps but in silence. On his lips, soft, as if he sought permission, not demanding. As we parted, silence enveloped us. We merely lingered, inhaling one another. The silence between us thick with unspoken truths. My gaze met his. He gazed at me. In that single heartbeat, I experienced it all. Yearning, remorse, yearning, regret, freedom, and a sensation I hadn't experienced in years. Seeking, essential, living, stop. I ought to have said halt. Yet, deep down, I wished it could last forever. The following morning, a strange unease lingered. Not quite right. The house seemed to sense a change had occurred. The walls closed in. The air hangs heavy, almost stagnant. The light streaming through the windows felt altered, less vibrant somehow. I rose with the dawn. Sooner than expected, I preferred to avoid a chance encounter with him in the hallway. Fearing his expression, or the absence of it, was unbearable. I brewed coffee, yet it was bitter. I lingered by the sink, mug clutched, gaze vacant, struggling to inhale as if my chest wasn't collapsing. Elias descended an hour later. The soft creak of the stairs reached me first, his familiar habit of skipping the last step in silence following closely behind. Today, silence reigns where echoes once danced. He entered the kitchen, muttered a soft morning greeting, and went directly to the fridge. He averted his gaze. Never. I had something to express. Inquire about his sleep. Inquire about the significance of last night. Inquire whether he despised me. Yet, the words eluded me. He offered none. We circled one another as if unfamiliar. Watch out, remote, calculated. The kiss lingered unvoiced and weighty in the space between us. What of that silence? It was deeper than remorse, more than disgrace. It was void. He existed yet vanished. He sat quietly at the table, consuming a bowl of cereal. I lounged on the couch, feigning interest in my phone, my gaze drifting aimlessly, observing him from the periphery, deciphering the creases of his expression, the void in his gaze. He polished off his cereal, washed the bowl, and ascended once more. I simply remained seated, quiet, void. Mark returned home that afternoon. He tossed his bag aside, relaxed his tie, and inquired, "All good here?" As if we were colleagues brushing past each other in the corridor. A smile crossed my face. Agreed, indeed, all is well. Falsehood. He overlooked my moment of doubt. I was unaware of the grip I had on the mug. Missed the moment my voice broke. He nodded, ascended, and vanished into his familiar quietude. We dined together that night. Just the three. As if bound by kinship. Mark sat at the table's head, glancing at emails as he chewed. Stephen sits opposite, gaze fixed on his food, hardly touching it. Me feigning enjoyment of the flavorless meal. Silence reigned. Mark remarked on the weather. I faked a chuckle. Stephen remained silent. He averted his gaze. Never. He felt far away. Chilly. As if I were a stranger to him now, perhaps. No, I wasn't. I hit the hay early. I mentioned a headache. There I lay, eyes fixed on the ceiling, engulfed by an overwhelming solitude. More than ever, that kiss. Now, I understood the sensation of being noticed once more. I understood the sting of loss. Did I break him? I wondered. Have I shattered something within him beyond repair? He's merely a boy, hardly a man. In the midst of self-discovery, I should have taken charge. Perhaps I didn't ruin him after all. I might have destroyed my own future. Perhaps that fragment of myself I sought to preserve, the remaining good part, still good, yet complete. Perhaps that's what slipped away when I allowed silence to consume my better judgment. In the stillest corners of my mind, where I hesitate to tread, even alone, I long for the way he used to gaze at me, as if I held significance. I felt like a remnant of beauty, as if I mattered. I loathe myself for letting that slip away. Yet I still missed it. Days without sleep have passed. No. With eyes shut, memories fled in. Candlelight dances, his silhouette framed in the doorway, warmth lingering on his lips, the charged air before we step into the irrevocable. I replay it endlessly, moment by moment. Each hush, each look, each fleeting second brought us here. When did I cease to be myself? I sought diversion, scrubbed the whole house twice, organized the pantry in alphabetical order, rearranged the linen closet, hoping it would tidy my thoughts, making them simpler and more manageable. Failed to do so. I even sought therapy. Seated opposite a woman with gentle eyes and tender hands, she inquired, "What brings you here?" I spoke. Silence reigned. I failed. How do you confess to crossing a boundary with your stepson? How can you voice it without stumbling over your own embarrassment? I deceived, expressed a sense of disconnection. My husband had become distant. I felt unseen. Absolutely correct. Merely a fraction of the truth. I began to write instead. This tale, this entire chaos, I've been scribbling it out, line by line, extracting it from within, binding it in dark ink to prevent its harm. Perhaps I can at last perceive it clearly. A revelation. Never seek absolution. I don't believe I'm worthy of that. Perhaps comprehension. Perhaps a means to find clarity in everything. I remain uncertain about how to label the event. Am I the hunter in this tale? Was I merely craving love? Had I sought something denied for ages that when it appeared, mismatched and ill-timed, I instinctively reached out? Did I truly know what I was doing? The truth remains unclear. It always has been. This story blurs all boundaries. Only hazy boundaries and uncertain decisions that led to tangible outcomes. What occurred defies explanation. Yet, I can't deny the feelings stirred within me. A sensation long forgotten. Noted, yearned for. Not in an inappropriate manner. Not akin to desire. Yet, it felt as if I had been reborn. It frustrates me how significant that is to my feelings. Did Elias share that with anyone? A companion? Peer? Perhaps his true mother who never cared for me from the start. Does he despise me now? If he believes I played him, if he feels revulsion at the memory of that night, I can't help but wonder if he's in pain as well. If he lies in bed, gazing at the ceiling as I do, lost in the meaning of it all. I've considered parting ways with Mark, filling a bag. I need some space. Expressing my discontent without revealing the reasons. What comes next? Begin anew? Embrace a fresh narrative and don a different identity? Does that justify any of this? Am I merely fleeing the ruins I've caused? Wherever I wander, I remain unchanged. Yet she remains the woman who betrayed someone she was meant to safeguard. Yet she remained the woman whose cravings drowned out her reason. Yet she remained silent in the shadows, refusing to decline. I never intended to cause pain. Not him, definitely not Mark. Not even I. In the quiet of my solitude, I transformed into a stranger to myself. Have you ever felt utterly unseen, entirely overlooked by those meant to cherish you, prompting actions you never imagined you could take? A choice forever lost? Can you describe something that makes you sound like either the villain or the victim, or perhaps both? Have you ever gazed into the mirror and felt like a stranger was looking back? I do. I'm certain I'm not alone. Some burdens remain unspoken, too weighty for words. Fear of judgment holds us back. Of dismissal. Being told we merit the pain that engulfs us. Silence solves nothing. It merely raises the barriers. This is me dismantling them. Here lies my tale. Not seeking pity. Not seeking the spotlight. Perhaps someone is alone in their quiet room at 2 a.m., gazing at the ceiling, questioning if they are the only one who has ever felt this way. You're not. Have you ever done the unimaginable to reclaim that spark of life? Have you ever wrestled with guilt, felt the sting of loneliness, or harbored a secret that haunts your nights? Share your thoughts below. Silence speaks volumes. Just a whisper to recall your voice remains. Your story is important too. If this resonated with you, if it made you feel less isolated or understood, please give this video a like. Join us. Stay close. Every week at Shocking Infidelity Saga, I'll share tales like this. Untold tales linger in shadows. Yet, those are the voices we must listen to. Sometimes, the harshest realities are the ones that liberate us the most. And if all else fails, keep this in mind. Loneliness slips in uninvited. It permeates. Gradually, silently, suddenly. Be cautious. Silence won't change anything. It will claim pieces of you you never intended to surrender. Fragments you might never reclaim.